I'm noticing there's a lot more advocacy these days for hurt feelings being worthy of stopping a message. And then I listened to what you said about good and bad in another interview you did, and I'm finding a conflict between the two. How do you not hurt someone's feelings if you have a controversial idea? And if we agree that we're meant to be doing the least harm, does that mean we stop saying it? At what point does this moral code kick in? How much hurt feelings are we allowed to tolerate or cause someone?
Well, there's no answer to how much hurt feelings in general, because it depends on what's on the other side. So certainly we should not gratuitously hurt someone's feelings. And a lot of the nastiness that you find on social media, where people do abuse each other and sling off, is quite wrong, because it's not serving any real purpose. Maybe people are letting off steam for themselves, but it's not serving a purpose. On the other hand, when it comes to controversial ideas, if the ideas are ones that have the possibility of being right and of making a positive difference to the world, then I think we should be prepared to accept a certain amount of hurt feelings. I don't think we can say that you can't express an idea that might hurt someone's feelings, because it would be hard to say anything new or different if that were the case, right? So a lot of the things that we now take for granted, like, let's say, the idea that people with a same-sex orientation ought to be able to marry, that would have been regarded as extremely offensive to many religious people who thought that this was a terrible perversion and contrary to God's will and so on. So, you could imagine those people, if they took the standards of today, saying, well, we have to make sure that nobody is allowed to express those views. We have to cancel them, if you want to use that term, so that these dangerous and perverted views contrary to God's will don't get into the community. But obviously that would have been a bad thing to do. So we have to be prepared to accept that if ideas are serious ideas that have the potential to make a difference in the world, and a positive difference, we have to allow, I think, ideas to be exchanged and to be argued about. And that's the way in which we find out what is right and what isn't.
The way I'm seeing it is, if we're not willing to explore bad ideas, we risk not ever getting to the good idea. Because I don't always say what I mean the first time as well as I want to say it when I'm building a program here or something like that. But it leads to an idea of significance down the track. But if it wasn't allowed to flourish in the beginning, when it was very misguided or completely off base, it never would have come to fruition and touched people's lives. So surely it's an imperative that this idea of freedom to explore different ideas that may conflict with somebody else's needs to be encouraged.
Yes, I agree entirely with that. And not only do we need to have criticism and discussion to refine our own ideas and improve them, but even if somebody, even if an idea is correct, I think people don't really understand why it's being held unless you allow somebody to object to it, and then somebody else will respond to that objection and lay out the reasons why we hold this idea. Because if you don't have that, it's just like a dogma. It's just something, well, this is something we all believe. But why do we believe it? Do we allow it to be questioned and challenged, and has it withstood those challenges? If it has, then we have an answer to why we believe it.